Welcome to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. On this podcast, Laura
and Shelby, both board-certified nurse coaches, show you how to make as much money as you want in private practice as a nurse coach.
Awesome. Welcome to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. It's Laura here today with our No Challenge winners. And you all don't know this listening, but last time we had a No Challenge, we did a podcast episode with all of our winners and we didn't hit record. So for those of you listening that were on that podcast, I am so sorry. We hope we made it up to you, but we are overdue to talk to nurses who do this challenge. I think it's the most transformative challenge of the year for the people who participate for lots of reasons. But we're going to spend today, I'll let each person introduce themselves, and then we'll kind of go through some questions on what that experience was like. So I will call on you guys for this part. The rest will be totally organic. But Casey, do you want to just introduce yourself really quick?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm Cassandra. I am part of the March mentorship, and this No Challenge was exactly what I needed to deal with the stuff that's happened since then. So it's perfect.
Thank you. How about you, Shauna?
Yeah, hi, I'm Shauna. I started in January, so I'm just wrapping up with the mentorship and really just kind of basking in awe and wonder around all of the transformation and growth that's occurred. Really excited for what comes after this.
Yeah, awesome. And then we have Kate.
Hi, I'm Kate. I'm also in the March mentorship group. And like Shauna said, I think so much growth has happened that wasn't what I expected. And, Laura and Shelby told us that, but it was hard to contemplate what that would actually look like. So it's been pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I'm different, but in not the ways I thought. And right, it's like we just have no control. We start the journey and then it starts to unfold. And I think the more expectations we have, the more pain we experience, the less expectations and curiosity we have, the easier it is. And the whole year is just a push and pull. Same for me with the business now. It's like I have two choices. I can have expectations and have pressure and stress about what I think should be happening, or curiosity and openness on like where spirit is probably trying to place me. And so I know that I've worked through that with all three of you at different stages. And so I'll kind of give the audience, the listeners, just because I know we have a lot of new student listeners, what the No Challenge is. The No Challenge is just rewarding rejection. It's how many no's you can get. And these no's, I think, were counted by invites, workshops, proposals. Like we had a whole rubric on, I think proposals you got the biggest reward for. If you didn't, if there were a no to a money, if you said money out loud and the client said, no, I don't want to pay you that for your coaching, you got the most points for that, but you got points for volume of just people you invited into conversations. And as a mentor and as a participant in this challenge earlier on in my coaching career, it's designed to get over the fear of rejection and also realize who you think will say yes doesn't, and who you think will say no says yes. And it just shows you how many stories you have about what you think people will do and then what people actually do. So my first question for you guys is, if you want to just share, the challenge was 30 days long, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was 30 days long. What was your experience like during it?
This is Kate. And one thing that was, I think, actually really helpful was I had a pre-planned cruise during that time. So there was like a week where I was going to be off grid, like truly off grid. And I been trying to honor my vacations. So that reminded me in the same way that I work right now. So I work and I'm building my nurse coaching business. And it was almost the same experience in that outside of my control a little bit, there were time constraints, and that's good for me because it really makes me focus on the time that I do have. So I was like, okay, that week is just out. That's okay. I'll do before and I'll do after. And it was like, it felt like a punishment, or it felt like a bummer, but it wasn't. It was a constraint that made me more focused. So that was something that was a good lesson for me.
Ooh, that's nice. Because the constraint that helped you could be the same constraint that somebody else thinks is the reason why they can't. And that just illustrates the way that you relate to it with lots of other nuance, obviously. But I find that a lot of nurse coaches do really well with time constraint. And our last no winner went on vacation, or several of our no winners went on vacation during the month. which then created more urgency. And so like propelled them into more action because they were it wasn't 30 days that they had to work on it. They had like 2 weeks or and I've had people say that last week they went ham because they're just like, I have 7 more days.
Yeah.
Awesome. Go ahead, Shauna.
I think it was the second week, I had a 3-day in-person training into a retreat weekend. So I was pretty much off grid for a whole week. So similar. And I will caveat it by saying that I had a handful of like wheels in motion prior to it. So a couple of the PC2s that I had during the challenge were already kind of in place. So that was to my benefit, but also, I mean, same thing. And just knowing that it takes some time to get from point A to point B, right? And so I went really all in that first week and put as many wheels in motion as I could to get the ball rolling so that I could get as many PC2s done within the time frame.
Yeah.
And I will say that a lot of the wheels I put into motion didn't come to completion until after the challenge. So I'm grateful that I went front end heavy. That was, I think, pivotal to my success here.
Yeah.
Challenge.
Yeah. The time horizon of creating a client can vary from 2 weeks to 2 years. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah. I actually was in the process of moving. We had bought a second property and decided that November was the time amongst the holidays and everything else going on with our family. So time constraint, again, was absolutely pivotal to making it work. And I actually amazed myself at how much time I created that I tell myself I don't have because I'm not working full-time in the hospital anymore. I've dedicated my time to nurse coaching and to see how many people I could reach out to and people that, like you said, I didn't think would want coaching and said, absolutely. When can we do that? Really opened my eyes to the stories that I'm telling myself.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys this. This is not on my list of questions, but in true successful nurse coach fashion, we say fuck it to the notes and we just start talking on podcasts. But when you're doing that much outreach to people who are warm, like they somewhat know you or acquaintances, are you surprised by the way that you perceive? Are you surprised at how other people perceive you? Because when you're doing that much interaction with other people, like I remember being surprised that some people are like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'd love to have a session with you, Laura. And in my mind, I'm going, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm begging people to like get on a call with me. And the fact that you think that what I do is valuable or you're reflecting that back to me, like it was so helpful. And just noticing that like all the stories that I had about the way I seem online or the way that people are perceiving me, like that challenge showed me that no, it's all, and like, I'll never know. Like the people that I thought would be excited to hear from me weren't. And the people that I thought would not be interested at all or were above me were like, yeah, when can we get on a call? So my question is, just in all the interactions that you had, because you had so much, did your self-concept change at all just through the way other people saw you or treated you?
I'll jump in. This is Shauna. Yeah, 100%. And as soon as you started with this inquiry, that's what came to me is I don't know so much that how other people saw me change, but how I see myself and the conviction I have and the clarity around what I do and how potent what I offer actually is to those who are ready to say yes to this level of deep transformation.
Yeah.
I have no question in my mind that I can hold people in that, through that, beyond that as a result.
Awesome. So your self-concept changed as far as your confidence in what you provide.
Yeah, I mean, confidence, clarity, conviction is just the word gumption. It's just like, I know that I'm onto something big here. Who wants to get on board?
Oh yeah, that's good energy. That's good magnetic energy. Nice.
I agree as well. It changed my concept of what I have to offer. I felt very confident in that I have something meaningful that can benefit you. And my offering it to you is simply that, offering you a benefit to see beyond what you can see right now. And I was surprised by who actually was excited. People that I was just reaching out to, like, I've talked to you, a few times. I know you have some stuff going on. And they were like, thank God, thank God, because I need somebody. And then other people that I actually thought would benefit and they're going through changes and could really use a coach were like, yeah, no, I don't need that. And I was like, huh. So you really just don't know. You just don't know.
Yeah. it's reality, because you're testing reality. You're testing reality through all the conversations that you're having with human beings. And you realize your perception of reality at the beginning of the challenge was one way. And then through every interaction, you have a different perception on reality. And a no challenge never makes you less confident. Although you get like you're working on rejection. So like when you first start, like every rejection makes you feel less confident, probably. And then in the no challenge, you realize all this rejection is just making me more convicted. I have more gumption. I have more clarity. And like you said, I have this benefit. I'm offering you a benefit. And if you don't see that it's a benefit to you, then it's not for you. And that's okay. I love that. How about you, Kate? Any change in your self-concept?
I don't know about my self-concept, but I mean, a couple of things come to mind. One, like Shauna said, the clarity, the understanding that when I really understand what I offer, it's so much better received. Even if it's received to say, I don't think that's for me, I feel much more peaceful when I know exactly what I'm offering. And it makes it easier to offer it to people. Because if you're kind of like, do you want to try this thing? Ugh, yuck, So I loved that clarity that I gained. And kind of to what you were saying a second ago, Laura, it's just, I'm not worried about the rejection now. I'm excited about what I'm doing. I'd love to help as many people as I can. It certainly isn't for everybody, and I'm not for everybody, but I'm not worried about the rejection. There's just nothing to worry about. People will say yes, no, or they won't answer. Like those are the only things that can happen. So that lack of freak out, lack of, I don't want to do this is so freeing.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so you guys I think all three of you mentioned clarity. Could you have gotten clear through more worksheets and could you have gotten clear through more work alone on like a worksheet? Or did you need all the different interactions with people to get clear? Or would it be a mixture of both?
I needed to interact with other people.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I'll just make up stories. And I won't always know what's effective either. I don't want to speak for the people, but I got feedback along the way of what part of my message resonated with someone. Oh, I saw this and I wondered about it. Or,
yes,
you said that you can help with X or you can support me in X. And I was like, oh, that's just a little thing that I said, but now I understand that resonated with you. So yeah, no, just making stuff up on my own would not have gotten me there, at least not that quickly.
Right. The worksheet's good for the hypothesis, and then you split test through the experience, and then through the experience, you get the actual feedback loop, and that's what makes you clear. And you get clear on the way that it lights up in other people, because we can think we're clear, but when we're working with a population of people, we don't know if we are. And then the sessions themselves help you get clearer and find the language and exactly what it is that you do, because you don't really know what you do when you first start coaching. You know that you help people transform, and we say ambiguous things like find their dream and find their purpose. But what does that actually mean? Because people don't pay to find their purpose per se. They pay to something very, very specific, although overall they find their purpose. It's like that, the semantics and the language that you get from that immediate feedback with people. So I love that. That's so true. All right.
Yeah, that was my thought as well. Both I thought were true. I enjoyed the worksheet because I enjoy delving into who you think you help, what you think your message is, what you've been through, and then testing that on people in my community, and even testing it on cold leads too. Just throwing it out there. Hey, here's something that I think is really cool that I'm doing right now. Are you interested? And just seeing the wording and the message that people are hearing versus what I think I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally. And then a more eccentric way of looking at this is levels of consciousness. So it's you're trying to we're all here at our own journey in our own level of consciousness. And then our ideal client is at some level of consciousness. And it's there's certain language and ways of being that connect the two of us that work really well. And we think we're really clear, but sometimes just a few small notches up or notches down, it starts to really resonate. And I know that you guys haven't done paid ads yet, but in the paid ads world, you could do an ad with 10 different colors and 10 different songs, and you'll have one that performs 80% better than the rest because of the color and the song. Hello, how would you know that? How would you know to choose that color and that song as far as effectiveness in people being drawn to what you do or saying yes to the proposal. So I think it makes you realize you don't know until you try, and you'll never know unless you try. And there's just no shortcut to figuring that out unless you try. All right. What did you learn? And I know that's broad, but what did you learn specifically that you're applying now, maybe in your private practice?
Well, one thing that Shauna said a little while ago that, it's in the preceptorship, we talk about it, but I couldn't conceive of it until it really happened, was the length of time that things can take, and
Right.
how it's so variable. And seeing the work that, the messages that you do and things like that pay off maybe in 3 weeks or maybe in 3 months or maybe in 6 months. I don't know. It just has really increased my calm. I
Oh,
think,
yeah.
yeah, things will happen in their time. I'm not doing something wrong just because this didn't happen in the time that I thought I did. And that's huge for me, because that's been a whole part of the journey of becoming a nurse coach and working on my business, is just being a more calm and embodied person. And again, I love mindfulness and I love exercise, and those are a part of that journey, but also just letting things unfold the way they're supposed to while I'm working really hard is like,
Yeah.
helps me become more calm and present, and it's huge. So that time piece is, I think, is probably
Yeah.
one of the most exciting things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, so with this retreat I went on mid-challenge, I had gone into it with like, I'm gonna win this challenge. I am balls to the wall, all in, at all costs. And in the retreat, I had some big shifts, understandings, awarenesses, integrations, and came out of it with like, you know what, I'm actually gonna stop trying to win this. It's not working for me to go balls to the wall. I'm just finding myself in that travel nurse hustle overwhelm cycle that I'm so deeply desiring to not live, and just leaning into the trust. I don't think there's anything like logistical I learned, more so than the ability to trust what is, to listen more deeply to the nudges and the callings of spirit, to meet my business exactly where it is and let the soul of this beautiful thing that's building itself around me truly build itself around me, and to meet it in that rather than trying to push it to be something it's not. And when I learned to lean into ease and trust and allowance, things took off.
Yeah. Oh, that's the lesson and the gift that you just keep learning over and over again. It's like you get there and then you suffer some amnesia and then you get there again. But I love the way you describe that. So good. And that was very profound to watch you in that. And there's just value in both ways that you approached it. So that like, I'm glad that you went balls to the wall. That's something well, the travel nurse hustle. You've got that on lockdown. Your nervous system's used to that. And then it was just this awareness like, okay, where I want to go, I'm not going to get there this way. So I'm going to try some other way to get there.
I mean, what I learned is how I don't want it to feel.
Yeah. Yes. So many great mentors talk about that you can't like this illusion of balance in startup phase of entrepreneurship. Like you kind of have to hustle or try it on to know what you don't like and where your edge is. And then subconsciously, Shauna, at any moment, like there are specific seasons, like let's say you get a call and they're like, can you appear on TV 12 days from now? And you don't have a funnel built, and you need to have a funnel to go to fully take advantage of this opportunity. That would be helpful to lean into the hustle energy for that 12 days, but you're doing it intentionally, and it's not it's not the way your business is built on. But no, you can, because you did it before. So I think it's useful. So we find like basically the guardrails of like over here of like trusting too much that nothing's happening, and over here is like working so hard that you're on the edge of burnout, and then you realize I build in here and kind of this is the path that I take. So it was cool to watch you do that, and I think you've just had easier results since then. So like it's just been consistent but with less effort. Yeah. You say?
Less forcing, right? Less pushing
Yeah.
up against things that are only causing resistance.
Yeah. And people in deep trust are so magnetic. And so if we're not in deep trust, even if we don't think it shows, it probably people can sense it as well. Yeah. How about you, Casey? I always go Casey.
Yeah, that's me. I like the way you said guardrails. That's exactly what I learned. I learned to just trust where I enjoy being. I'm so used to making myself a little bit smaller because I'm a lot in general. And this really allowed me to be free. It allowed me to be loud and be big when I felt like it and do all the reach out to all the cold clients that I enjoy. And then it allowed me to settle into the warm clients when I got tired. And I really
Ooh.
enjoyed, yeah. And I don't typically like reaching out to my warm market. So doing that for this no challenge felt really good because if I was doing it, it was intentional. And
Yeah.
anybody that I've been holding on a pedestal, I reached out to and I was like, that really was not that big a deal because me, I'm a lot. So now we're a lot together and you can say no. And here I am. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Just being myself.
Good. Be a lot. Be
Yeah. Yep.
so
That
much.
that was my takeaway was just to be exactly where I
Oh,
am.
I'm
And
just
it's
gonna
usually
be.
a lot.
I remember when Evan and I, we weren't dating yet, and I remember his sister, who was friends with my sister. She said, "Well, he knows about you. I told him you're crazy, but I think he likes crazy girls." And I'm like, "He did. He likes crazy girls. Yay!"
Yep.
But I think that in entrepreneurship, if for those of you listening that have been told that you're too big or too much or whatever, or too intense or too passionate or whatever, like that's good. That's an unfair advantage. Yes, bring all of it. It's welcome. And for those of you who have a sense of like, I've always been shy and not taking like taking up enough space, this will be the perfect avenue to begin to do that, whatever that means for you. And I think that people don't realize that I think 60% or 70% of professional coaches who make over $20,000 a year identify as introverts, which makes sense because the work itself is an introverted type of thing. But marketing is extroverted for the most part. And so that tends to be some of our challenge as is introverts, is leaning into the marketing piece in a way that our systems can allow for. You said you like doing cold outreach. I think I don't want to like gloss over that because somebody's going to be listening to this and be like, is she an alien? Like, tell us
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. I find it so much easier to be exactly who I am, who I feel like I am with people that really don't know me.
Yeah.
I find it takes the pressure off. I'm able to speak truly and from my heart, and I'm able to advocate actually a little bit better. I think about my background in critical care. I typically don't know the people walking in the door, and it's not that I don't care, but I'm here to help you, whatever means possible, and I'm probably going to hurt your feelings. And so I think with cold outreach, that's just my home. I'm used to talking to strangers. I enjoy it. I enjoy sparking conversation. And even just thinking about it gets me all excited. Just like reaching out to people I don't know and that don't know
Yeah.
about coaching.
After they become warm, so you do your initial cold outreach. So then they go from cold to warm. After that first time that you have a touch on them, they become warm. So you've been like consistently just growing your warm network. For those people, do you mind following up with them when they're warm? Or is it mostly
Nope.
that you don't love people that knew you before you were a coach?
Yeah, I have a feeling I knew you were going to say that. It's usually
Yeah.
people that knew me before I was a coach that I
Yeah.
feel they've just
You got to like
experienced
prove
so
who
much
you
of
are
me.
now.
Yeah.
I'm now
Yeah.
different and you need to know about me and how different I think that's what it was for me too.
Yeah. And it's funny because if I think about my life before coaching, I was still coaching as a nurse, as a friend, as a mom. I was the one like, you're safe here. Come give me all your drama and it's going to be fine. Well, yeah, there's something weird about people that didn't know me as coach.
Yeah. Do you guys resonate with that too, Kate or Shauna?
Yeah, the thing I was thinking about was, as Cassandra said, that was the paid clients that I have now. I think I had this idea that more of them would be people that knew me before, but no, one of my paid clients that I'm going to meet with later today actually met her through a workshop, never knew her before that, and she found value and now we're working together. There's something there. I'm not quite sure what it is. It's just this idea that I think I felt that maybe it would be harder to show who I really am or maybe connect with people if they weren't warm to me prior to that. But I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think that who I am as a coach is present in day-to-day life or in a workshop or an event or something. So I don't know. Yeah, it's just kind of not what I thought it was, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
I think I'm opposite of you, Cassandra, where maybe this is just my story, but I feel like the people in my long-term communities have kind of been waiting for me to step up into this thing that I've always been designed to do. I think in the beginning there was a little bit of that like rocky, like, hey, look at me, I'm kind of finally maybe doing the thing. But I think now that I'm kind of more unapologetically putting myself out there,
Yeah.
all of my people are like, yeah, go Shauna.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And I think eventually you guys, the longer that you have the identity as nurse coach, then the further away your old identity was. And then everybody kind of starts to mesh. And you're like, I don't care if you were doing Coke with me in the bathroom, 25 years ago, I could still coach you. Like it just doesn't matter. Like anybody I have coached people in high school that I literally partied with. And it's like, and I hadn't talked to since then. And it was fine because I knew who I was. I was solid enough in my new identity that I felt like I could help them for 6 months, first 8 months. They weren't who I was going to reach out to because that was their last memory of the Laura Menard or Laura Murphy that they knew. So I think also over time, obviously, there's just more safety and it gets easier and easier. You guys are a great example of that. What are your thoughts around rejection before you became a nurse coach? Right in the beginning, when you first were asked to get rejected, and then post, we talked about this a lot already in the podcast, but the fear of rejection is one of the top major fears of being for lots of reasons. Because if we were rejected when we were, 5,000 years ago, there was a chance we weren't going to live. So there's a real visceral fear of being rejected from people, from other human beings. And so I'm just curious about that specifically, about that experience.
I will say for me, at the beginning of trying to offer people powerful conversations, rejection absolutely meant that I'm a shitty person, I'm a shitty coach, this was stupid. I knew I wasn't going to be successful at this. I mean, those were all how I felt. And I was already turning the corner of that, of course, just through the work that we've been doing, but still maybe didn't take that much to get me back to that place. But yeah, just repetition, refining my, what I'm trying to say to people, being more intentional before I reach out. Like, I don't know, all those things have just made it so that's not what rejection feels like now. Rejection just feels like that's not right for this person right now. Okay. That it doesn't mean anything about me.
Yeah, I still get waves of rejection feelings in specific relationships that I have with like different clients not re-enrolling with me, or like I still get like waves of it, but they don't last as long. Like it'll happen. But in the beginning, like rejection could last 2 weeks for me, like a low level of physical pain. I'd have low level physical pain in my body for 2 weeks. So it's like heroic if you think about it, that we do something like that, experience pain, and then do it again because it's so against nature. So like think about the first time you got really rejected. And I remember you had an experience early on. I can't remember the details of it. How long did it last and how intense was it? Because I think that this is helpful for newer nurse coaches just to know.
Yeah, where I feel stuff is in my chest and in my face. Like I just feel this like hot shame. Like everyone can see what a fucking idiot I am. Like everyone can see it. And probably for like 5 days, it's that thing where for me, as it's fading, I'm doing whatever, and then it's like it hits me in the body again. Oh, it's wild. So it's not nothing. It's not a small thing to overcome. I really have the message that's resonated with me a lot over mentorship and this challenge specifically is this idea of, being afraid to reach out to people or taking what they say really personally. That's very self-centered. And it's not saying it in a negative way, but that's what I've learned is like anxiety that I have too about that. That's so self-focused on self. And so that's where that comes from too. This idea of when you're rejected, everybody's looking at you. Nobody's looking at me. Like nobody cares. And so that's a message that I've learned over my life and forgotten. So what a gift to be back in a position to learn it again, because it's not going away. And if private practice as a nurse coach is not the rest of my life, which I hope it is, but even if it isn't, I still need that message. So thankful to have another avenue to continue to learn that lesson.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Like you said, it's not nothing. What I remember, I mean, this is what I hear. This is in all of our marketing, and I've heard it. I'd be so rich if I collected $1 every time I heard it. I don't want to be icky, right? Like when you think about outreach, inviting, because it's required. I mean, 90% of our income is going to come from an invite. I don't think we know that. And if that whole part of our business makes us feel icky and cringy, there's like no conceivable way that we're not going to quit. So do you remember thinking it was icky? Like, I'm just curious for you. I don't know that that was a big message from you, but
Yeah, no. And I think part of that is, I'm a nurse, of course, but I also have
yeah,
a background as a copywriter. And so I had done different types of outreach before too for copywriting clients. And so the same kind of thing applies where you're not, it's not weird or gross to say, hey, I'm doing this. Is this useful to you? So I think I'd already gotten past some of that because you just have a service, but I
yeah,
think because this is more personal and also because I don't know how to say it right, but it's just like, and I don't think it felt icky, but it just kind of felt like, I mean, I guess like one message doesn't feel icky. I think sometimes the follow-up can if you feel like
yeah,
you're bothering people.
right.
So
Well
I think
said.
that's just kind of a
Yeah,
discretion thing, right? To see, well, again, I know that a lot of times I might look at something and it's so it shows that it's read, but then I think I'm going to get back. And so anyway, I don't think following up is that weird, but I did have to think about that. And I've had a lot of people say that to me, and I'm sure everybody does, where they say, "Oh yeah, thanks for getting back to me. I read that and
yeah,
then I didn't get back to you." So that kind of helps too, I think, which is a thing that we talk a lot in mentorship is don't make up a story. You don't know. Like you don't know whether they read it and
yeah.
and rolled their eyes or whether they read it and meant to respond to you. So if you don't know,
Right.
you don't know.
Yeah. My first coach said, Laura, do you know what it means when you email people or you call them or you text them or you message them and they don't respond? And I was like, leaned in. I'm like, yeah, like, what does it mean? She's like, nothing. It means nothing. You're so right. You're so right. You hit on something there too. I'll reiterate the question because I know we're getting off track, but is when you were selling copywriting or reaching out to people to talk about copywriting, in some ways that felt easier than like deep transformational experience because it's just a more vulnerable and intimate offer. So I think also like the intimacy of the kind of offers or the kind of coaching that we do can also make it more difficult. Conversely, I've seen other nurse coaches come from MLM backgrounds and be like, I can offer coaching all day long, but I cannot like text people about a freaking supplement or makeup or a hair product. Like that feels way more icky than like what I have to offer because what I have to offer is intimate and from the heart. But it's like I've seen people feel have different stories about it. It can either be more difficult or less difficult. So that's something I just noticed with that part of what you said. All right, Shauna or Casey, who wants to go next about that experience around rejection in general on the journey?
Jump in.
Yeah.
I think especially earlier on in life, I was an outsider. I spent so much of my journey trying to feel accepted. And so, enter my 20s and 30s, I did everything I could to kind of try and, not fit the mold because I know I'm neurodiverse. I stand out. I just do. It's at this point I claim that and I own it. And the more I come into myself, the less affected I am by rejection. It doesn't mean anything about me, right? Like someone can say no to this, that, or the other thing, and it doesn't mean that I'm a failure. It doesn't mean that I'm not lovable. It doesn't mean that I'm doing something wrong. So, it still affects me, right? If someone just says no or doesn't show up, there's some, mild irritation or something, but I don't lose myself in like I'm not a part of the pack. I'm not welcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas, prior to, I mean, even probably just prior to the no challenge and in the first handful of months of the
Yeah.
mentorship, it really did mean something about me.
Yeah.
The no challenge and just the immense growth trajectory I've been on throughout this year alongside the mentorship has really helped me to really come into deeper ownership of who I am and in all of the ways that me being different than the norm is actually my gift and my medicine and where my magic and potential lies.
Said. I would concur as your mentor for the year. I mean, you've changed so much, like so much evolution and just fully conscious and owning every part of it along the way. I think you probably out of anybody I've ever mentored, I would say
Oh, thank you.
the most. Yeah.
It's been a big year. And
Yeah.
when I went into the no challenge, like this gamifying thing really, it works for me.
It does work for your personality.
Yeah. And so I was like, I'm going to reach out to everybody and
Yeah.
nose be damned. And, you know, a lot of the people I reached out to, I think I had no expectation of hearing anything back from, but that added some easefulness to it, right? Where I was
Right.
able to not attach anything to it and was just like, outreach,
Yeah.
outreach, 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 outreach. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah. I'm doing that on LinkedIn right now. So I'm just like used to reject. I'm just like as many as I can per week that it allow me before it shuts it off. And then it's like, how can I just be better? And and that's like was not fun. It's like not fun to do that. And now it's fun. So it's like even realizing that the parts that you really have disdain for or dislike can then become the parts that you look forward to. I think that's encouraging, right? It's like the how parts of our business that we hate can be parts of our business that we love. And that's available to us. That gives me a lot of hope as I come up against things that I really am like, oh, I might have to change my feelings about that one because we got to keep doing that one, right? I think that's what I watched with you as well. And how about you, Casey, for rejection? Because I think for you, if you don't mind, when I think of you on your journey, you're a high achiever. So I think for you, the most painful part was that it wasn't happening faster than it happened for you. And then once we like came to grips with that, like I feel like everything you were doing just started working better. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. When you
Yeah.
guys were talking, I was like, oh, rejection, that's on you, not me.
Yeah.
Kind of how I look at that. So it was more reaching out, like Shauna said, gamifying this. That's my jam. I can send
Yeah.
out hundreds of messages and not care at all if you read it, if you open it, what happens. It's actually the being seen afterwards, the follow-up,
Yeah.
right? The denial after the PC2 when we've actually spent time together.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, it's more of that fear of being truly seen in what I'm doing and what I believe in. That kind of held me back a little bit. And you're right, once I really acknowledge that things take time and that I don't enjoy coaching clients that are half in, half out, or jump at a deal, right? A free something, but aren't actually my ideal client. Once I accepted that and just was like, okay, this is going to take time. I have to send the messages and put my phone away. Then all
Yeah.
of a sudden I check my phone the next morning and there's 7 messages.
Yeah.
Yeah, letting go a little bit was my challenge for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that the game works for you guys because the game either really works or it's like the wrong thing to do.
Mhm.
And I often think of like all of our mentees and it's like, are we doing more harm than good? And it's like, no, that's why we have several in the year and everybody has like a specific moment where like I'm gonna commit to this and this excites me. But I love hearing how it inspired you to take action at a pace and in a repetition level that you would likely not have done without it, that extrinsic. And then by the end, it becomes intrinsic, and that's the goal. So for all coaching clients, like we might do things with our clients extrinsic, and then hopefully at some point it becomes intrinsic and they don't need us or challenge to be able to do it. They just own the skill set of whatever it was. What advice, if we had like advice by in your name, and maybe we'll do a series of social media posts about this, what advice would you have? Because you guys are all at how many months in, let's say how many months in you are into this journey. So like from the time you opened your LLC till the time that you're sitting on here on the podcast, how long has it been? And what advice would you give for everybody that's behind you as far as experience goes?
Okay, so I think I opened my LLC in March or April. So I guess it would be oh my gosh, math is so hard right now. I don't know why. 9 months. Okay, so sorry. I think I've had my LLC open for 9 months.
Yeah.
I feel like the advice is, you can go at your pace. Of course you can. And it's your business and you have to do what feels right for you. But
Yeah.
if you don't take the action that leads to paying clients, it's not going to change what the action has to be. The action is you have to do those things to generate the clients that you're so excited about and that are the whole reason that you're doing this. So
Right.
to me, it's like, just don't fight it. Don't fight the things that your mentors advise you to do because they're not
Yeah.
going away.
It's like, you want to lose weight. It's like exercise and caloric intake. And like, no matter how many programs you try to find, it all boils down to the same thing. You can't find your way around it. Oh, I hate that. Sean, how about you?
let's see, I think 11 months after my
Uh-huh.
first LLC, but I relocated. So, travel nurse assignment ended in July. So I really didn't begin
Really?
in motion
Yeah.
until July. So under
Yeah.
6 months ago.
How many paid clients have you had in the last 6 months, Shauna? I would say that we really didn't. You opened your LLC, but we didn't really start until June.
8.
That's so great. Good for
Yeah.
you. That's awesome.
Yeah, and 3 of them were within the past month.
Yeah.
With the string of
Right.
yeses after the string of many, many no's.
Yeah.
My advice, I mean, based on my journey, something that has been so important is just staying dedicated to my own personal growth trajectory and really doing my own deep dives, figuring out what my stories are that stand in the way, integrating the aspects of myself that have been more uncomfortable to look at, like rather than
Yeah.
like demonizing and pushing away the things I don't want to look at, really
Yeah.
welcoming those parts in so they have a seat at the table so that they can speak and turn down. Really like true integration of all aspects of myself so that I can go as deep in as I can so that I can, lean in when others are trying to go deep.
Yeah. Can
And
you can you share like some of the other things outside of mentorship that you did? Because it's not like you weren't doing other things outside of being advised in business and being an R container. Like you had some people get upset when I share about what it might take, or people think that mentorship is going to be all things for every need that they have, and it can't be. And so I think you're a really good example of like you did lots of things outside of mentorship as things came up that entrepreneurship journey revealed. Really?
yeah, I took on a one-to-one coach for a 6-month journey. I do plant medicine and ceremony work, so leaning into that realm has been absolutely integral for me in my journey
Yeah.
to go into those deeper places. At the beginning of the year, I had a kind of a big betrayal where 2 individuals really important in my life did something that just crushed me.
Yeah.
Rather than falling into victimhood, I got curious and leaned into what's here for me. Uncovered some stories that, I don't matter, that I'm not worthy of love, that I'm on the outside. And by bringing those stories online, I was able to find the medicine in them and actually, follow the arc to now where I do have this unapologetic way of being who I am. That is what's allowing me to have this magnetic essence that's
Yeah.
allowing my business to become what it's becoming. Uh,
Yeah.
and, to follow up on something Kate said a while ago is with the outreach, right? Like really, truly just being in curiosity and desire to connect with humans. I don't have an
Yeah.
ulterior motive that hopefully this person's going to give me some money, right?
Yeah.
It's truly just about like, hey, you've been on my mind and I'm curious how you're doing. And, wherever that conversation leads is organic. And if the opportunity to talk about what I'm doing arises from a really authentic and centered place, then I do that. But there's no expectation of driving this conversation to talking about me.
Oh my gosh. I wish we had a hidden camera that could. I'm going to tell you a quick personal story just because I think it's so relevant to what you're saying. But if somebody could be inside of your brain and like a nurse coach on the outside who just can't even fathom doing outreach from a place that felt good. It's just so foreign, right? Like the way you just described it, it's like this state that you're in, this selfless state of service that you're in. It's like a different frequency. I watch Evan do this all the time. Like Evan creates all of his clients just like in strange places. We're at a kid's function the other day. He talks to one of the dads and he's like, hey, brother, how you doing? And just asking, it's like, do you have anything I can pray for you about? I'm well, this. Like bunch of conversations, like, let's spend a few hours together. And like he does not care if that guy ever pays him. Because just it's what he just helps people. And then sometimes people want to keep being helped. And it's like so clean, like the energy is so clean. And I get to witness it in person. And so I can just see like this example of it. And I'm like, I wish we had like video of it because until you see it in person or you've experienced it yourself, you don't even know that it exists. And then I think that's when something really unlocks in business building. It's like, oh, I just get to like help the world and I get paid for it accidentally somehow on the back end. Yeah, I loved that. I loved that story of that. All right, Casey, you next. Advice. Maybe
Mm,
advice for high achieving nurse coaches. I think that you could
Yeah.
speak well
Yeah.
to that.
That's funny that you say that because I'm like, man, there's a few messages, right? Like Shauna said, just being curious. I've taken that advice and run with it. And everywhere I go, people want to talk about themselves and it creates clients when I wasn't aiming to create clients. But I really think mine is probably following your gut, following your intuition. As a high achiever, typically coaching high achievers, we dream really big and it seems absurd. And people are always telling us, like, dial it back, just hold on. It's not your turn yet. Why not? Why not? Because anytime I've dreamed really big, I've taken the action and done the things, made the changes, right? Got into myself and did it. So why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah. Yeah. Be more realistic. You got to be more realistic.
Yeah, I hate that one. I hate that one. I'm not realistic. I'm a dreamer. My head's always been in the
Yeah.
9 steps that are coming for me because I can get
Yeah.
there and you get there.
Yeah.
If it's meant for you, you're gonna get there. So yeah, dreaming big, really
Dreaming
following your
big.
gut.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a meme that's like, if you hang out with me, I'll brainwash you into thinking that anything's possible and completely upset your
100%,
life.
100%. Yes, I will make you feel like you can do all of it, and I'm here to hold it with you. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. All right. This is the last question I have, and then we will wrap it up because we are right at time. What are you most proud of today? We're in December of 2024. Like, what are you most proud of today? This can be personal or professional, but I just want to like hear what we can hold for you.
Living what I tell people they can do. I think I'm most proud of being a first-time business owner in our entire family, creating time and space and presence for my family while still creating income, creating.
Creating. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful.
I'm really proud of who I am, really proud of myself for making it through the gauntlet of the first half of this year.
Yeah.
With this mentality of willingness and curiosity and desire to grow, heal, learn, and, coming into my purpose.
I am the proudest of acknowledging the parts of me that make me uncomfortable, make me feel less than, and working with them. And the evolving but closer outcome is being more present as a mom and a wife. And I didn't know that I could do that. And I'm doing it.
Love that. That could make me cry. This week, I'm proud I didn't quit. I'm so proud of myself. I'm here with you guys, and I didn't throw my desktop into a creek. I'm here with you guys, and I feel better. It's so crazy. So crazy after listening to you guys how much better I feel. And so I hope that the message that comes across here is that we're here for the whole range of emotions. They're all welcome in business building. And when we stop assigning meaning to them being good, bad, or wrong, then things get a lot easier. All right, no winners. Thank you guys so much for your time today. And we'll see everybody in the Facebook group, and let us know if you have any questions or if you want to reach out to any of our no winners to get to know them better. All right, thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you so much.